Today, we all know about this legendary brand that is closely associated with coffee. Also, this brand is closely associated with feelings, and also this brand is one of the top brands competing in food and beverage industry. This brand is also associated with relaxation, and also it provides energy. Yeah, I'm absolutely talking about Starbucks. Starbucks is such a fabulous brand that it is much ahead of its competitors like Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, and other food and beverage competing competitors. So how is this so? And what made Starbucks such a fabulous brand? And what made Starbucks to last an impacting impact in consumers' mind, despite its high pricing strategy? So let's dig a bit into Starbucks. In the first tenure of Howard Schultz, he governed Starbucks to excellently well, and also in the initial public offering of Starbucks, it fetched a revenue of $270 million, and thereafter that revenue was utilized in opening a number of outlets and expanding Starbucks internally as well as in the external markets, leading to the second wave of coffee across the international borders. So if we dig a bit into Starbucks model, there were three crucial aspects that it followed before 2000s, or before Howard Schultz stepped down as CEO. Howard Schultz governed the Starbucks from 1986 to 2000s, and during his tenure there were three aspects that the company worked upon. The three crucial aspects that Starbucks followed were, firstly, the aspect of providing consumers a similar surroundings of their home. So Starbucks initiated a first aspect that was to provide consumer surroundings where consumer would spend most of its time apart from its house, apart from its workplace. So if a consumer spends most of its time, a consumer usually spends most of its time in his house, and apart from this, it spends most of his time in the office. What Starbucks wanted, the consumer should spend the left out time in Starbucks. That's what was the crucial aspect of Starbucks. Another crucial aspect of Starbucks is choosing its destination. Starbucks very efficiently chooses a destination that results in an impact in the consumer, and it naturally gains the footfall. The last aspect that Starbucks follow is the relationship between consumer and the employee of Starbucks. So Starbucks follows this aspect of nurturing that affectionate bond between the employees of Starbucks and its customers. And this bond in the early 2000s was so strong that the customer itself invited the employee of Starbucks to their weddings. That's how fantastic bond the employee of Starbucks were able to create. And there's also a theory that is apart from this case study that you need to always acknowledge the psyche of people. You need not to pay heed towards your product or any of the business tactics strategies, because all you need to deal in the business world is about people. Your employer will be people, your workers would be people, your managers would be people, your company would be ruled by people, your consumers would be people, and yeah, everywhere else in the business world is dealt with the people. So you need to acknowledge this psyche, and there comes after that your product and other aspects. So coming back to the case study, if we talk, these three crucial aspects, they were followed by Starbucks, and this resulted in exponentially high growth of Starbucks. And by 2000, Howard Schultz stepped down as CEO, and there were two CEOs that stepped up in the Starbucks during 2000s to 2005 and 2005 to 2008. But in 2008, Howard Schultz returned back to Starbucks. Why? Because Starbucks was at the verge of losing its market. It was at the verge of completely failing in the market, completely failing by its competitors. So, Howard Schultz returned back and made the changes in the Starbucks, which resulted in that position of Starbucks. So, what could be that scenarios or situations that resulted in the downfall of Starbucks? So, that were firstly, after 2000s, as I told you, there's been an exponentially high growth of Starbucks. So Starbucks utilized that growth in order to make changes in its whole industry, in its whole outlet. What Starbucks did was it upgraded its technology from semi-automated machines to completely automated machines. A lot of more number of outlets were opened and a lot of employees were hired. So absolutely, they completely changed the traditional way how Starbucks was ruled, and this resulted in the downfall. Why? Because people usually do not go to the Starbucks to enjoy a quick coffee. Rather, they visited Starbucks in order to have that home surroundings, have that aura of making traditional coffee, have that experience of talking to the employees, make that bond. Whole particular phase of Starbucks wasn't seen anymore after 2000s, and this made to the downfall of Starbucks. So what Howard Schultz did was he turned and stepped up as a CEO and reinforced the traditional ways and completely shifted back Starbucks into the way it was before 2000s. What Howard Schultz did, it closed many of its outlets and faced a lot of losses because it closed its whole outlets. And what it did was it trained the people to how to treat with the consumers, and it trained the people to how to talk to the people. Basically, it trained the Starbucks staff in order to take back Starbucks to what it was before. Howard Schultz did everything to take back Starbucks to the track and make it run. And thereafter, after 2008, Starbucks saw again the growth, and also with the revolutionary spirit of Howard Schultz, he made the company to succeed. And yeah, that was the story of Starbucks, how Starbucks made out. And also we talk about Starbucks. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with the Starbucks today also, and maybe there could be a chance of returning back Howard Schultz back to the Starbucks. Today's Starbucks CEO is not Howard Schultz, it's Kevin, and Howard Schultz stepped down CEO in 2017 or 18. And yeah, so there could be a moment where Howard Schultz would return back to the Starbucks again to resolve another problem. There are a lot of problems. One problem I would like to recite to you about Starbucks is that Starbucks is highly dependent on the coffee beans, is highly dependent on serving coffee. And if there's been any fluctuation in the production of coffee beans, or during the COVID time that happened, it would give a huge loss to the company. It would give a great degree of harm. And what Howard Schultz also did was, before stepping down as the CEO, before stepping down as the CEO of Starbucks, he also entered into unfair trade. What he did was he conquered the Chinese market. The Chinese market was a center, it was the hub of tea, it was their traditional culture. Basically, it is also said to be that tea originated from China. What Starbucks did is that they changed the taste and preferences of the consumer and made a shift from their tea to the coffee. So this is a completely revolutionary story of how Starbucks made a parabolic journey, and moving on, how Howard Schultz resulted a high degree of growth into the company. And so the basic lesson that we learn from here is the people is the game. Yeah, we'll encounter people everywhere in business life, in professional life, and employment. So you need to handle to those people, yeah, and acknowledge the psychology. There should be a epistemology of human psyche. That's what's required. That's the number one priority. Thereafter follows the other aspects of your business life, professional life that comes in. But the first is the human psyche that we need to learn, because people is the game.